What veterans for the Broncos do you think are spending a very nervous July, wondering if they're going to make this roster that starts at the end of this month?
Well, I'll start with one that you continue to bring up, and so I'm going to take your spot on this. Colquitt, and I love him.
He's a great guy.
We went to the same school. Really like him and his wife. They're classy people. They do a lot for charities. He's entered into that really dim area for kickers and punters. He's outkicked his coverage. How about that? Is that a good term?
He's outkicked his
salary. He's making more money than people of his ilk make. $3.5 million.
Around there.
I think he would count, even if they cut him, he'd count 1.5, but they could clear $2 million off the books and they could hire 2 or 3 guys. I think that if Carl Schmitz, if you haven't heard Carl Schmitz, we're not going to go into that.
He's a YouTube sensation.
He's the YouTube guy that can kick 87-yard field goals and kick it, putt it. He's like Superman. Did you ever see that when the original Superman movie came out, when they came back with the Superman and the kid gets frustrated because he's a cleanup boy and he's a trainer, he's not on the team, so he punts the football after practice and it goes like 3 miles. And he goes to his dad, why can't I show people what, because he could have been the greatest player ever. Carl Schmitz is Superman. He can kick it 87 yards without a rush.
I'm going to give you one. I think Andre Caldwell's in trouble because he's making a little more money than the younger guys who are nipping at his heels. And I'm talking about Jordan Norwood. I'm talking about Isaiah Burse, maybe Kyle Williams. Cody Latimer is going to get more playing time than Bubba Caldwell. So I think Caldwell is spending probably a very nervous July, wondering if he's going to make this Broncos team as well.
Well, I'll give you. You're doing. You got a C guy. I got a C guy. Colquitt, Caldwell. Let's make it 3 C's.
Okay.
Tony Carter. I think Tony has been a solid player. Hurt a lot. He's been a guy that's been a backup, and
on the bubble guy every year. Yeah.
I think that they got enough now defensive backs that Tony's going to have a real problem making this team.
Well, and I know you have a running back in mind because you've mentioned him a number of times.
He doesn't start with a C.
No, it starts with an H.
Yeah, Ronnie Hillman. And I told you last week why I didn't think Ronnie Hillman would be cut. I think John Elway, because he drafted him so high, wants to keep him. But I can't. I keep trying to figure out how they're going to keep him, because they're going to keep at least a fullback, quasi-fullback, Casey or Joe Don
Duncan,
Looney or whatever his name is. They're going to keep this, so that's going to take one of those spots. Juwan Thompson's going to make this team.
Probably.
He's a guy you want to keep. I think Capri Bibbs is going to make this team this year.
Do you really?
I do.
See, I don't think they're in love with him. Could be wrong, but I don't think they're in love with him.
I mean, how do we know they? They haven't seen him. They haven't. But last group
they watched
saw
him all
him.
last year.
Well, he
was on the practice squad.
They weren't here. They weren't here. Those people are coming
John
in.
Elway.
They're going to give
Elway
him.
Did.
Well, John Elway kept him around. They put him on the practice squad. They actually put him on the active list for a while. Then because of injuries, they put him back on the practice squad. I think they like him. I think Hillman's will stay if John Elway says, I don't want to give up my draft choices. But he's been more okay with getting rid of his draft choices lately.
Yeah.
He hung on to some of them too long.
I'm going to give you 2 more guys. I think Steven Johnson could be in trouble. I know they like him on special teams, and I know he's done an okay job filling in when other linebackers have gone down with injury. They've got a lot of young linebackers they like a lot right now. Steven Johnson's going into his 5th year. I think he's going to be a bubble guy. And I think if Omar Bolden in the preseason doesn't show that he can return kicks the way he did at the end of last year, I think he could be in trouble, even though he's a fairly high draft pick. Because Woody, what's happened the last few years? They haven't been able to figure out if he's a safety, if he's a corner. He hasn't gotten a lot of playing time at those positions. His one saving grace is going to be if he shows he can return kicks.
Except, though, your versatility, utility infielder. Play some cornerback, play some safety, run kicks, back punts, play special teams. I think that's bodes well for him. I think a guy who didn't really play, I don't even know how you pronounce it, Latree or the linebacker.
Laurenti McCray.
Yeah, he was hurt last year. he hasn't stood out in any area.
Yeah.
Steven Johnson's another utility guy, that's special teams guy, can play inside, outside on a linebacker. I think he's more valuable to him. I would say anybody else that I thought you were going in the direction. Isaiah Burst, they actually kept around last year.
I don't
He's
consider
gone.
him a veteran.
He's gone. He can't play wide receiver.
He has exceptional quickness.
Yeah, but he's kind of like the guy.
And they still need a punt returner.
Well, they got rid of the guy 2 or 3 years ago who was
Trenton Holiday.
4 feet tall.
Yeah.
And he was dynamic. So, anyway.
All right, that NFL update sponsored by Fantasy Sports Combine. Woody and I are going to this thing. It's in Vegas. It's at the Wynn. It's from July 17th to the 19th. You're still 2 weeks out if you want to get a good airfare. I know. I just got mine yesterday.
420. Get on the one with me, 420.
The 420 flight. Yeah, I hope you're not going at 420.
I am.
Seriously?
I am.
You're not going to make that flight.
Sure I am, because I'm going to leave about now.
The Fantasy Sports Combine.
I'm going to get up
Vegas,
and walk off set and wave goodbye to everybody.
And you're going to get advice from guys like Adam Schefter, Matthew Berry.
I want to get there. There's a party Friday night.
We'll get there in time. I promise you. Mike Shanahan, Mike Ditka, Brandon Stokely, Kyle Orton, a bunch of former players are going to be there to help you get an edge with your fantasy football team. So get your tickets today at fantasysportscombine.com. It's not too late. fantasysportscombine.com.